Hi, my name is Ian, and I'm the tech lead here at Packetlabs, and I deliver multiple service offerings at Packetlabs, but most importantly, what I'm here to talk to you guys about is how these different service deliveries can integrate into our penetration testing as a service platform so that you as an organization and you as a client can receive a better a better experience when viewing and dealing with vulnerabilities and findings that come up out of that penetration test. PTaaS, or penetration testing as a service, is sort of a modernized delivery of penetration testing. In the past, people would use penetration testing as part of their security operations, and after the test was done, they would be delivered with a PDF report that showcases the different vulnerabilities and the findings that were exploited to produce business impact from an attacker's perspective. The service aims to make the delivery of these findings more real-time for the security operations of the client. One of the penetration testing as the findings, it's not one particular finding, but there's actually a functionality in the dashboard itself where you can sort of see how a low vulnerability leads into a medium vulnerability, and then that leads into a high vulnerability. And the client can also see that in real time as well when they get real-time updates from these vulnerabilities and these exploits. So one example I can think of is that, in an Active Directory setting, there was a domain user that had a specific privilege that allowed them to elevate their own privileges. And what essentially they're able to do is they're able to, log in via RDP to a workstation, and from the workstation itself, there was a file permission vulnerability where you're allowed to upload files into the web root. And from then, they simply uploaded an ASP web shell on the web root, and they were able to elevate their privileges as a service account, as the IIS service account, as an admin. And on that specific host, there was actually an admin that's logged in, and we were able to steal that admin session and compromise the domain controller. So for the client, they would be able to see how we're able to do that from step by step. It's very common for users to be able to RDP. That's not really a finding in and of itself, but with the file permissions, that's a second finding, and the client can see that the RDP tied to that file permissions finding, and they were able to see the privilege escalation as well, a third finding, and eventually an elevation to the domain controller, a fourth finding. So it's a chain of findings that clients can see in real time. I think companies that benefit most from this is if they regularly include penetration testing as part of their maturity and operational workflow. So let's say you have an application, or let's say an infrastructure environment that processes like sensitive data, for example, like credit card information. And a lot of the times compliance is a driving factor in these things. So you would need a test every single year. Now, one problem we've come to notice is that if we deliver a pen test and issue a report every year, you would have to almost look at your drive or your email or wherever you store those reports year by year to see exactly what was tested, the scope, what findings relate to what assets. It's actually a painstaking process on the admins and the developer side of things. However, with penetration testing as a process and as a delivery process, you can actually have that all centralized in a dashboard, organized by year. And you can organize it by findings, by severity, and it has a whole bunch of metrics that might be useful in your remediation speed or the assets that are most impacted by the most number of high severity findings. So an organization seeking to leverage this workflow into their operations, their security operations, it would be the most beneficial for them. Not all pen testing firms have adopted this model yet. Many firms are still operating on the sort of traditional model of penetration testing, which is you recruit us, we test, we issue a report, and then after the developers or the system administrators fix the findings, then they come back to us and say, hey, we're ready for a retest, and we have one retest for them. But I think what's different about Packetlabs is when you sign up with our penetration testing as a service, number one, if you have already a ticketing platform, we can integrate with those. Second, it's not just one retest, but unlimited retests until that finding receives closure or until the client accepts the risk for that finding. There's nothing further they can do. And you can do all of that in real time. You can involve as many developers or as many system administrators into the platform as the IT manager wishes. And our testers are curated and selected to work with you to guide you through the remediation process of those findings, right? And the big part of it is it's all organized by year for you. You have continual access to that platform, and you have all the same things that come with a traditional penetration test, such as a report, but a little bit extra in terms of ticket management, in terms of organization of findings, in all centralized in one place, and multiple retests whenever you want, even throughout the test. And I don't think that's something that all firms today are using as a delivery methodology.